This video is very run and gun because I really need to pump this one out because I am so angry, and I know I still owe you guys that video on how to run Windows off of a USB stick, so I will be doing that eventually and kind of just showing how to put that together. But there's this game that you're seeing on screen right now called Fellowship, which I was really excited to try it out. It's in early access, and it looked like a game that actually solves a problem that I have with MMORPGs, in that I love the combat in some action MMORPGs. I don't love the unnecessary grind. That's this game's whole shtick. It kind of just basically puts you into those dungeons, into the combat of the game. Sounds awesome. I want to try it out. I paid the $40 I think that it cost to download it, went to launch it, and my dumbass didn't realize that I didn't scroll down and see that it said that this game has kernel level anti-cheat. And what that means is if you have a Linux based system, you can't run this game because on Linux the kernel is editable. So kernel based anti-cheat, basically any game that has that is not compatible with Linux. You can't play it, and that's why some games like Fortnite, a lot of games produced, or all the games produced by Riot, don't work on Linux, right? Things like that. Battlefield doesn't also work on Linux. Now, the reason I'm so angry in this particular instance is that this game is a PvE game. There is no reason why there needs to be a kernel level anti-cheat for a PvE game where the biggest risk you run is that somebody is going to ruin your experience because they're just like power scaling themselves above whatever boss you're going on, completely ruining the entire point of why you even play this game, which is this challenge and like the experience of like battling bosses. Now, if we do a small bit of research to try to figure out, hey, why is kernel level anti-cheat even needed? Why is it bad? What is the deal? Why can't game developers just choose to use easy anti-cheat, you know, things that run on Linux, like just like a normal application level? It's because these developers or developers of certain games feel like they need kernel level access to be able to basically do anything on your PC. So kernel level code can literally do anything on your PC unsupervised. It can be exploited if there are bugs in it. So obviously you run a risk actually with any kernel-based anti-cheat game that the inverse of the security is also true, that it could also be an exploit if you can't trust the developer, you can't trust you know, where you're downloading that game from, you know, so on and so forth. This is, in my view, is just so the only word I can use is idiotic that this even became ever a thing. Yes, there are games where the integrity of the safety of that game is necessary for that game to actually exist in the way that it does. Like something like a Riot game, like an esports game, where it's very important that for competitive level matches, you have a competitive level of integrity in that game. However, those competitive matches happen within a closed match system, which means that in an opportunity where you're actually having esports pros going up against each other, where stakes actually matter and stakes are really high, a lot of those instances are going to be on a closed off basis in a matchmaking lobby that is pre-made with those players. And the consequences to cheating should not be that because there are some bad actors out there that everybody now has this kernel level anti-cheat on their computer that it can access. It has the highest authority on all of your files, on all of your computer, and everything, and it has access to that because a few bad actors are out there, instead of just banning those bad actors, of just literally putting out almost like a bounty on those bad actors, which you can do within the hacking community. Instead of doing that, instead of targeting the people that are doing bad things, everybody now has to put up with the fact that there's kernel level code in your computer because somebody wants to have a little bit more pixels than you do in some dumbass game that you're just trying to play on the weekend and enjoy yourself with. Okay, and there's alternatives to this. Again, there's easy anti-cheat. There's a lot of anti-cheat solutions, or I shouldn't say a lot, but there are anti-cheat solutions that already combat what you can do, or what most people will usually cheat at. It's just those hackers that are maybe more well versed in actually like implementing some kernel level cheats that will essentially be putting themselves or you or whatever in a bad predicament because they're cheating at that level, at that system level. And those are cheats that are used again on their system. So it's them basically going into like kernel level code access, whatever, to cheat on that game. Again, this is something that should be left up to a reporting system, that should be left up to, you know, policing the bad actors and not affecting an entire community of gamers who now have to put up with this. And if you don't want to be on Windows because you don't like what's going on the Windows operating system side of things, and you're trying out Linux, you're trying out SteamOS, this is a barrier. This is a barrier, and it'll continue to be a barrier. And I know I'm holding the screen a lot, but I just, it's also a nice little thread to read on here that you can access yourself. And I also just wanted to like give a bit of credit, obviously, from where I'm pulling some of this conversation as well. Here's another thread where people are discussing, why does every multiplayer game seem to need kernel-level anti-cheat, kernel-level access to your computer? And, a lot of people are having the same conversations that I'm kind of bringing up right now. Cheaters ruined it for everyone. Now everybody is stuck with this kernel-level access on their computers at the whim of developers who want to use this. And if you don't want to play on Windows, well, that's too bad. You're stuck unless you want to, just forgo playing that game. Now, in the sense of fellowship, I'm completely forgoing playing that game because it's an early access game. I just wanted to try out. I'm not invested in it whatsoever. It just seemed really cool, but I'm not going to play it now because for whatever reason, a PvE game where the biggest risk to my gameplay is that I have some random cheater, some 1 in 1,000th chance that a random cheater will exist in that game that wants to mess with a random early access PvE dungeon grinding game in a group content setting. That's my biggest risk, and for that reason, a developer needs kernel level access to my system. That is the most idiotic piece of bullcrap I have ever come across from and seen in, like, I'm being hyperbolic a little bit, but only a little bit, and that's the sad part. Like, it is actually so dumb to incorporate kernel level anti-cheat into a mostly PvE centric game. That is so idiotic. And I'm not saying the game doesn't state that. It does clearly state it here that it has kernel level anti-cheat. It is kind of annoying that this warning is sometimes up above this like early access banner for some games, and sometimes it's just down here. Sometimes the requirement of the third-party EULA is up here as well. Like, whatever, there is some whatever. But yes, it is my fault that I didn't check for kernel-based anti-cheat on a PvE game. I just did not expect it. Like, what is the biggest negative? What is the biggest con that I could possibly run into if some random person out of 100 matchmaking, out of 100 like whatever, like what is the worst possible thing that could happen on a PvE game? That I just like lose a dungeon run, that I just like don't get to one shot a boss or something, or like that I just don't get to defeat a boss, like whatever. I would rather do that than have to put up with a random developer I've never heard of having kernel level access to my system. And like like this is just, I can't believe it's gotten to this point. It's just so aggravating, the level of access that people are just happy to provide. And like I said, thankfully it's really easy to not play this game. Thankfully it was really easy for me to just not play Battlefield. Thankfully it's really easy for me to just not play League of Legends, and it's really easy for me to really not care about playing a lot of most FPS and third-person shooter games like Fortnite, Call of Duty. But it is annoying to have to run into this and to just know that like there is no reason for certain games to have kernel level anti-cheat, but it's just there for access to systems and for like being overly safe for like no reason. I think it's so dumb. They have other problems to take care of other than cheaters. It seems like there's a lot of levers in the game, and again, this should be left up to community reporting systems. It should be left up to reporting systems that go after bad actors, not just a blanket kind of statement for the entirety of the gaming community. Like, this game genuinely looks like something I would enjoy, but because there's like a 1 in 100 chance, a 1 in 1,000 chance that I might run into somebody that even gives a crap to be cheating in an early access game, for like that's PvE based, and that I would even give a crap if that even happened. I grew up in an era, okay, where there was no anti-cheat ever, for nothing. I remember playing games like S4 League, and every like 10 games you would just run into somebody that just decided that they just don't even want to interact with any of the gameplay, and it's just gonna be that game. It's just gonna be the game where you just deal with a cheater with a Gatling gun at the edge of the map, and they're just gonna shoot everybody down. And it was like whatever. It was like a commercial break. I would go and get a drink, and I would rather do that. I would rather just be able to like, okay, this game's a wash. I'm gonna go get something to drink. I'm gonna just watch something on the side or whatever. Or I can like dick around and do whatever the heck I want, because I'm gonna be able to do that game. I rather that be the solution, and then I get to report that player, and then they get to get banned. You can IP ban them. You can do a bunch of other different things. I'd rather that be the solution than this random developer I've never fucking heard of has kernel level access to my system for a PvE game. What a bunch of bullshit.